Oh goodness. I was on mute. No. Chawa, who is this? Chawa, thank you so much for letting me know. I'm getting into this and I can't. That's why people came in and left. Oh my goodness. I was on mute the whole time. So,
Asking about child support received.
no. Thank you so much, Chawa, for telling me that because I would have gone through this whole entire Chant A Psalm on mute. See how the Most High righteousness sends in someone to keep you on the right path. And this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example why we should not worry or be in a depression or despair because God, that righteousness is always going to send someone for you. Okay, always. Always going to send someone for you. Always. So when we look at the verse today, I love this verse today. I was talking about verse from Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 to 4. And Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 to 4 speaks of not being, do nothing out of selfish ambition. So when you're doing something, don't do it out of your own selfish ambition. This is for me. I'm going to do this. You know, I have intellectual properties that I'm about to patent, right? This is not just mine. This is going to be for people out here. I don't look at selfish ambition where I'm going to run off of the backs of poor people to be successful. No, 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 no. Whatever I do is not for myself because I cannot take anything with me. This is not for me. This is for the future of generational wealth that I'm building for the next generation. So it's not going to have that selfish ambition or vain conceit where it's all about me and I'm excessively proud of oneself and being vain about that, right? That's where you become humble. You got to be humble, 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 humble. So in that humbleness, you're able to see the trees from the forest. In that humbleness, you're able to view another person in a light until they show you differently, right? So when we look at the verse today, we are going to value others above ourselves, not looking to our own interests, but of the interests of others. Okay? So when you're in a relationship, for example, right? When you're in a relationship and you have committed to each other, it is very selfish to go after someone else or to pursue someone else when you are still in a relationship. You know, it's called cheating. Even though you haven't been intimate, that emotional cheating is there. You're confiding, that con you're talking to someone else about your current relationship and the complications of that to someone else, not even a trained therapist, but to someone else. High five. We're in like Flint. You're talking to someone else, and that someone else may have an agenda. You know, they may have an agenda and they may be like, okay, this person is telling me about their relationship. Maybe I am going to get this person, right? Because the relationship they're talking about seems shaky and it's over and it's just not happy, right? So they find themselves intertwining into the person that's talking to them and sharing with them about their relationship. And this happens a lot. Okay, that's why, and people don't want to get a therapist because they got to pay. They rather talk to a friend or someone that they met online, right? And this is what happens inevitably. Um, you get, you're in a confusion. So when we talk about this verse, Philippians, don't do anything out of selfish ambition. You're going to get hurt. It's not going to be good, you know, when you do something out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, you should value others. Value the partner that you were with. Tell that person, you know what, it's not working out. I want to go see other people. I think we should, cool off this. Communicate. That is humility. That's valuing the other person, right? That's putting the other person before your own selfish desires or your fleshly wants. And you're not looking at your own interests, right? You may be sad, you may be depressed, and you may feel going out on your relationship with another person may be the best thing. And when we do that, we get caught up in confusion. We get caught up in a lot of things that is not good for us because we have gone away from God. We've gone away from our own humility. And when you value others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others, this is where your bless comes in. This is where you're going to be blessed in abundance, okay? So when we look at Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 to 4, it's about honesty. It's about putting others above yourself, right? That's what it's about. And I have my hot tea. Let me go get it. Putting others above yourself. So when you put others above yourself, the door is going to open for you where you don't have to worry about bills. You don't have to worry about car notes. You don't have to worry about rent. You don't have to worry about food, insecurity. You don't have to worry about any of that because you're not doing stuff out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, right? You're doing things in humility by valuing others above yourself, okay? Not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others. This is Philippians, and I've been 15 minutes in on this with Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 to 4, because it's crucial and it's vital that we have a relationship with a higher power. And that relationship that we're building with that higher power, these different actions are building blocks. However, when you go against the commandments and the covenant, when you go against that, these building blocks are going to tumble down and you're going to have to start over. But guess what? That righteousness is always there. It's in the midst. It's there always. That righteousness is going to keep you. It's, and some people don't believe there's a higher power. I understand that, but we know that there's righteousness, there's goodness, there's mercy, there's love, there's compassion, there's kindness. All of that does exist. Mankind has put a name on it, okay, and has kind of shushed people away because of these names that they put on it. So peel back the names, and underneath that you will find all the things that you already are about, even though you may not believe in this higher power of, God or Lord or Jesus or Jehovah or Negus or Selassie the First or Rastafari. You may not believe in those specific names, but you do believe in doing the right thing, right? You do believe in being kind and compassionate. So you already do believe in a higher power, because that's where those attributes came from. They come from above, not below, right? They come from above. So I focus on the positive as I seek to improve I and I life. So the daily word today is focus. And I'm so glad this word came in, y'all, because let me tell you, yesterday I forgot my textbook for the 3:30 class. Yesterday nobody came to my 12:30 class. I only have 3 people in there. So yeah, it was just a day was like, ah. So when I opened the word today and saw focus, it brings me forward to the realization that that too passed. That little mishap passed, and things that are happening in your life, it too shall pass. Okay, when I say happening in your life, happening adversely, it too shall pass. You will find a balance and a harmony in your life. You will find that. You may have made mistakes, you may have made choices that may not have been the best choice, but in those choices and in those circumstances, there is a lesson to be learned. So take that lesson to be learned and appreciate love it. Okay? I've had to learn so many hard lessons. And in that, hey, stop it. And in that lessons, I have come out of any adverse situation stronger and better, not bitter. I'm not going to be bitter. I'm going to be better. So anytime I'm in a relationship, I'm going to give that relationship my 100%. Now that I have graduated, because I started a relationship when I was in school, I was in grad school, doing a dissertation. Many people who are married in grad school doing dissertation ends up divorcing. I've heard that before. So it wasn't easy, especially going through the loss and the grief during the engagement that I was in. It was just hard, just very, very hard. So when we look at our lives and we look at the lessons we have learned, we have to focus on being better with the lessons, not bitter. Okay? If someone doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, but you want to be in that, it's always good to step aside and let go. Because when you let go, what's meant for you will return. What's not won't. So you let go. And what's meant, it'll return. What's not, it won't. So focus. Stay focused. Stay focused. That's the word today. I focus on the positive as I seek to improve my life. So let's read the word today. Life is awareness, right? That's what life is, being aware. Life is awareness. You're awake, you're living, you're breathing, you can talk, you can move, you can, some people are not able to do all that. However, standing firm in righteousness, I am aware of the creative power of I and I thoughts. Creative power of I and I thoughts. When I want to change I and I life for the better, remember I said we don't want to be bitter, we want to be better. I take steps in the world to improve I and I circumstances. However, I also tend to I and I righteous life by prioritizing words of communication to righteousness as a practice. This is a practice. It's called a prayer practice. It's a talking to God practice. It's a talking to compassion practice. It's talking to kindness. Okay? It's talking to that. So when you prioritize that and use affirmations like compassion, I am kind, I am love, I am long suffering, I am forgiveness. When you use affirmations to fill that awareness with positive thoughts, that's your righteous life. So you fill your awareness. They speak here of the consciousness, and I don't want to use con. Con is a lie. We are aware, we have awareness, and that awareness, when we use that to and through prioritizing a practice, like I need to keep prioritizing my yoga. I start it, then the next day I don't do it, so that's an example of prioritizing something. So prioritize your prayer practice. Make that something when you get up in the rise, you go into the bathroom to get yourself together. You can do your positive affirmations there. When you're in the shower, you can do it. When you're, getting dressed, you can do your positive affirmations. That's my son in the background, as you see. So I focus on what I want to create and leave the past behind. I love that sentence. Leave the past behind. Someone is in your past. That's where they need to be. We are all where we're supposed to be. Okay? Leave that person in the past. Focus on what you want to create. Very blessed greetings of joy and love. El Sue, thank you for joining Chant A Psalm A. And through faith, I know, I have the knowledge what I imagine can come to pass. Focus is key. Okay, that is the key. Focus. I keep my thoughts positive. I spend time and energy on pursuits that move I in the direction of I goals. However, if you don't know your purpose, you don't know what your goals are, how are you going to pursue that move into that? You're out there pursuing other folks. You're out there pursuing relationships with other people instead of that relationship with yourself. And I know this for a fact because spending time alone with myself, I have found the greatest love of all. That is a higher power I call the Most High, that righteousness. So now I have become complete. I don't need a husband or a wife, a girlfriend or a boyfriend to complete me. I'm already complete. I don't need someone else to make me happy. I'm already happy. All I am asking is for people to be honest and have humility. That's it. Right? And faith and focus. Faith and focus. Keeping thoughts positive. Spending time and energy on pursuits that move you in the goal of your direction, in the direction of your goal. Using righteous practices to remain steadfast. Okay? What is some righteous practices that you can do? Being honest to someone, telling them, you know what? I am in love with this person and this is who I want to be with. Being honest. I do that a lot of times and people don't like it. They attack me. But I keep my thoughts positive. I spend time on energy pursuing these moves that gonna lead me into the direction of my goals. And these righteous practices that you remain steadfast even in the face of a setback. So you may have a setback, you may have something that may be adverse happening. However, you got to remain steadfast You got to keep practicing your righteous, compassion, graceful attributes. With positive expectancy, I focus on good. So, positivity, expecting that, like my son always says, stay positive. Because I'm like, but what if this happens? What if that happens? He's like, just stay positive. Expect the positive, right? However, I always want to feel like, okay, this may happen that may not be positive. So then I'm prepared with my positive to counter that negative. Because I know that there's a yin and a yang, there's a positive and there's a negative, there's, that. So where there's good, there's also going to be bad. Where there's love, there's also going to be hate. It's always going to be that opposite. Where two people are in the bed, there's going to be one now. Where one person is in the bed, now they're going to be two. So whatever is happening in your life right now, it's not going to be forever. Things change and you have to go with that change. I have to learn about going with that change because you cannot force a relationship. You cannot force love. You cannot force anything. A true relationship is effortless. It's effortless. You don't need to do anything once that relationship is meant to be. What's meant to be is going to be. What's not meant to be is not going to be. So we have to accept it. Focus on your good. So this word today, focus. Go out there and stay focused. You're going to have a lot of distractions. This is what happened to me. I had a lot of distractions yesterday. Left my textbook. I was crying. I missed I just had this feeling of just, oh my goodness, grief. It was just grief. It was grief. It was grief. I had to post that my relationship is ended. I just had to be done with it. I had to get it out of my system and realize that what's for me is for me, what's not is not. The person that's for you is for you. The person that's not is not. You cannot force it. You can't fight someone to your righteousness and your standing firm in love. I don't fall in love. I stand in love so that I don't fall when the person finds somebody else or it doesn't work out. I'm going to stand in love with you. And anything happens after that, I'm going to still be standing. I'm going to still be okay because I haven't fallen for you. So 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 18, we look not at what can be seen, but at what cannot be seen. So we don't want to look at what can be seen, but what cannot be seen. For what can be seen is temporary. Didn't I just say that? I just said that. But what cannot be seen is eternal. Is eternal. Let that marinate some. This is why I spoke about standing in love, not falling. Because when we fall for someone, when we don't stand for someone, rather, we will fall for anything that they give us. Yeah. When you don't stand for love or stand for someone, but you fall for them, you won't be able, you fall. How can you won't be able to, you're going to fall for anything. Anything they do, you're going to get upset if it's not what you want. Anything the person doesn't do or doesn't speak to you and say to you or tell you, you're going to be upset because you've fallen so hard for the person that you can't stand. How can you? You're not going to stand for anything. It's going to be confusion. You're going to be insecure. Oh, they're talking to their ex. Oh, they're going to be meeting with their ex and talking about getting their belongings. Oh no, oh no. Ah, what am I going to do? You've fallen and you can't get up. So when we love people, we should stand in love with them so we won't fall for anything. We're going to be full people, complete people. So Second Corinthians is rocking. It's rocking, man. Second Corinthians 4:18. We look not at what can be seen, but at what cannot be seen. For what can be seen is temporary. So whoever you're with out there is temporary. I saw that. My dad passed away July 9th. He was on the ground. Okay? The love him and my mom had was unbreakable. So many people tried to take my dad away from my mom. It could not, it was unbreakable, right? But guess what happened? My mom saw him, they're together. That's temporary. It's temporary. But what cannot be seen is eternal. My dad, we're not seeing him, but he's eternal now. Because that love, that life cannot be destroyed. That energy is out there still. Okay? All my ancestors are sitting right outside my window. Feeling. They don't have heirs like me in this physical body. But they can when your body is at rest and you're in REM sleep, those are the places where you can still feel, you can still hear, you can still, yes, you have your body to do that. And bodiless ancestors are moving in a different way, in an entirely different way. They can take the form of animals, they can take the form of other people, they can take the form of, creation, because they're now part of that. So Second Corinthians is rocking. And you don't have to be a believer of God. You don't have to be a Bible bumping person to know that what Second Corinthians is talking about, because it's the truth. That's why when you are in a relationship, realize it's temporary. So don't fuss, don't argue with the person, don't curse, if you have a disagreement, agree to disagree and make up with a kiss and hug each other, love upon each other. Because what you see there is temporary. That person is temporary. They're not going to be forever. They're not. So love them. Like I told someone, don't argue with me, the ex. Go love the person. Just go love love upon the person. They're temporary. They're not going to be there forever. They're temporary. Go love on them. Don't worry about their past. Put the past behind. Focus on what you want to create and leave the past behind. This is what the word focus is today. So for anyone out there in relationships or going through a divorce and the person has moved on but you haven't, focus on what to create, what you want to create, and leave the past behind. That's all you got to do. And once you do that, you're on the way. You're on the way. That is one building block up to your relationship to that higher power. Okay? When you focus on your good. Focus on your good. So we had the psalm. Let's look at the psalm today. Joy comes in the rise. Joy comes in the rise. So yeah, I was crying first night. I cry myself to sleep every night practically. And when I got up and I looked at this psalm, it just resonated with me in terms of that joy. That joy comes in the rise. And Psalm 30 I ask that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart is acceptable in the sight of what is right, what is kind, what is good, what is merciful, what is forgiving. So, verse 1, I will extol righteousness up. I will extol righteousness. For righteousness has drawn I up and have not let the enemies joy over I. And the enemies are yourself, telling yourself you're not worthy. You're your worst enemy, and then you got others on the outside telling you the same thing. So stop it. Stop it. The enemies will not rejoice over I, because I have extolled righteousness. We have gone into that place. So the enemy can't get us. The enemy can't attack us. The enemy can't hurt us. The enemy can't harm us, because we have gone to that righteous place. We've created that in our house. We've created that at our job. We've created that in our relationship. We've created righteousness that's been given to us freely. We have the free will. And in that righteousness, I cry for strength. And guess what? I'm healed. I'm healed. In the rise, I get up and I'm healed. Because righteousness brought I life up. Okay? Restored I life from among those that go down to the pit. So I'm away from those that are going down. Why do you think people are isolated by themselves? Because they're being protected. They've got a hedge around them. Okay? I walked to work my first year here while other people I have given kindness out of my heart for them, that they will have something to drive, but I didn't. I put myself aside. The same thing that the verse of the day is talking about. Valuing others above yourself. Not looking to your own interest. My interest was not having to walk to work, but I put that aside. Each of you must have the interest of the other person, and that's what I did. I had the interest of the other person. Like, you know what? When you're with me, this is how it's going to be. I always put the other person before myself, because that is that relationship. That is a building block to get to the higher power, is how you deal with your relationship, how you deal with each other, how you deal with your children, how you deal with your supervisor, how you deal with your constituents, how you deal with your students. Okay? So in verse 4, we see, after all this, after we are extolling righteousness, because righteousness drew us up out of all of the mirror and the filth, right? After all that, we're going to chant. We're going to chant to righteousness. And all the saints and the ones who sacrifice for others are going to chant and give thanks to this sacred name. And that's your personal name. That's your business. That sacred name. It's written here, holy name. But there's no holes in it. And the intention of a word, you may not look at the intention of HOLY as HOLES, but it still has that sound vibration. And someone was telling me it's not about that. It's about the intention behind the word. However, that to me is a false narrative, because we know words have vibration. When I hold my throat right here, I'm feeling vibration running through my arm when I'm talking. So when I say the fullness, that's a different vibration than holy. Whole. It's, what is a whole? A hoe is as a garden tool as well as, something else. So to get away from the confusion, we just use words that have one meaning. So in verse 5, righteousness's anger is for a moment. It's a moment. However, the favor of righteousness is for a lifetime. I receive it. So the Most High, the Almighty God, Jehovah, may be angry for a moment. Okay? However, that Most High, that righteousness, that love, has a favor on you that's for a lifetime. While you're here on this earth, in this flesh, this is your lifetime. This is your life. This is what you're going to make your life to be. Are you going to make your life to be where you are favored in the sight of righteousness? Or are you going to go and err on the side of wrongness, curse people out, be angry with that person, call people asses, look down on people, call people ghetto, what are you going to do? You have a choice. You have free will. So are you going to receive the favor in your lifetime? Because guess what? Weeping, verse 5, weeping may happen for the night. Okay? Because of this anger that's for a moment. But the favor is for a lifetime. So weeping may happen for a night. But guess what? Joy comes in the rise. Joy comes in the rise. And we receive that joy. Each one of you receive that joy. Because when you get up in the rise, you may be faced with bills. You may be faced with all kinds of stuff. But don't think about that. Don't think about that. Focus. Remember, the word today is focus. Focus yourself. Focus yourself. Because verse 6 says, as for I said in I prosperity, I shall never be moved. People say that. They get prosperous, they get rich. They're like, I can't, nothing can touch me now. However, the favor of righteousness made I mountain stand strong. And when righteousness hides, I'm dismayed. So when righteousness goes away, when you don't err on the side of righteousness, you're going to be dismayed. You're going to have a dismayed. And you know what this is? Dismayed is this distress that's unexpected. So you don't want to be dismayed. Dismayed is distress. It's an unexpected distress, right? You don't want that. So don't hide your righteousness. Don't hide the truth. Don't hide honesty. Be honest. Set yourself free, man. Okay? So you won't be in a distress. When you hide and you hide and you don't bring forth righteousness, you're going to be in a dismayed situation. That's why I'm always honest. I'm the most authentic person. I am transparent. I'm going to tell you about my shortcomings. You're going to know, okay, this woman is not perfect. She made some mistakes. I'm going to be able to talk about that. I'm accountable. Okay? So in verse 8 now, who are we going to cry to? To righteousness. Who are we going to plead for mercy? To merciful righteousness. And then verse 9, there's a question. What profit is there in my death? When I go down to the pit, I can't give you thanks. I'm not able to, tell of the faithfulness. I'm not able to chant a psalm when what profit is there in my death? What profit is there in that? And so that's the question. in verse 9. Verse 10 answers it like, listen. Verse 10 is like, listen. Righteousness is merciful to I, all of I. Righteousness is merciful, and that is your strengthener. That's your strengthener, is righteousness. The Lord, God, Jesus, okay? That is what is merciful to you. That's who you cry to. That's who you plead for mercy. I take my pleas to that, to righteousness. I'm not gonna get on the phone and curse you. I'm gonna, you know what? Let me call my Most High. I'm gonna get on the phone and I'm gonna call my Most High. Guess what? This is what's happening. This person called and did this and this happened and that happened, and you pour it all out to that you cannot see. Remember, the person you can see is temporary. I'm temporary. Okay, this is temporary. It's not forever. All right, I tell my son that. He's like, oh, no. Yes, I'm going to have to go to. However, guess what? What profit is there in my death? That's what Psalm 30, verse 9 is asking. What profit is there in my debt, financial or physical debt? There's no profit in that. When you're in physical debt, you're gone. When you're in financial debt, you're distressed, right? So, who is going to be merciful? That one. Who is going to be a strengthener? That one. Hallelujah. My bird friends agree. They agree. You listen, you hear them? They agree, respect. So, in verse 11, this is speaking to me. Righteousness have turned for I mourning into dancing. Yes, righteousness. This is what the Most High has done now. Has turned my mourning and my grief for my dad and the loss of my relationship, all of that turned into dancing. Yes. Righteousness has loosed my sackcloth and clothed me with gladness. This is very true, y'all, because I was in sackcloth. I wore sackcloth and ashes for a time in my life. And now it's been loosed. Hallelujah. Listen to the birds outside. And clothed I with gladness. Gladness. So the tears now are not sad tears, they're glad tears. They're tears of joy, like overflowing when your cup runneth over. You know, that's what that feeling is. So verse 12 ends Psalm 30. I glory may chant lovely music and not be silent. Oh, righteousness, I righteousness, I will give thanks to God for all time to come. All time to come. To God be the glory, to Jah be the glory, to Jesus be the glory, to Negus be the glory, to the ancient names, Kadamawe, Aile, the power of the Trinity, that triune God. You are part of that. Religion takes us out of it, right? But righteousness brings us into it. Religion takes us out, but righteousness brings us in. And once we're in like Flynn. And that is going to be our saving grace. That is your saving grace. Okay? That's your saving grace. So I wanted to share with you all when I went to take my son to his interview at a bridal shop. Yeah, it's a bridal shop. They sell wedding dresses and stuff and tuxedos. And next to it was a store. And I told them, my dad passed and I'm grieving, so I got some grief therapy books. Well, the lady gave me this for free. It's a prayer map for the grieving heart where you can write different things in it. And she gave me this. And sitting in the chair was her grandmother, who's blind. And her grandmother was sitting there, and her grandmother reached out to me to hold my hand. And we were in words, we were communicating with God just at that moment. And the feeling of this woman, and then her granddaughter said, she's blind, she can't see you. But she could feel, she felt me. And for some reason, I feel she could see me because I have a light. And I remember a long time ago, there was a blind man who I was renting from on St. Thomas. Bless his heart, rest his soul, Mr. Niku. He was blind, not by birth, but by an accident. And he said he could see me. Every time I walked by him or I came to him to talk to him, he could see me. And that scared me. That was like, wait a minute, you're blind, how can you see me? He says, you have a light. And that light shines so brightly that even the blind can see you. I was like, my goodness, that's powerful. So this lady, gave me this book. So I bought this book, Grief Therapy, and it has pages in it about grief, right? And this one, it says anniversaries, holidays, birthdays, and more, the times that used to mean only joy and celebration, these can now be among the toughest of days. Observe them with care and simple ceremony to ease the pain. So my dad's birthdays, my mom and dad has an anniversary coming up October 1st. All of these different things is going to be hard, right? So we have to keep lifting each other up. I also got this book, Grieving the Loss of Someone You Love. And this could be a relationship. It could be, someone that has passed on. Don't hold back. Tell God what you feel. That means you talking to that righteousness. That righteousness will lovingly accept you just as you are, anger and all. So these are great books. I also got this. Yay! This is a Bible where it can hold my Bible in it. My daughter gave me the Bible that's in this book. I got it from her. See it? It's a Daily Walk, the Daily Walk Bible. And I was so glad I found this Bible case because I can carry my Bible now with me, wherever I go, hand in hand. So in this daily walk with the Bible, we're on the book of Nahum, Nahum. There's a flood of judgment on Nineveh. So remember Jonah, he didn't like the folks in Nineveh. He was like, why don't you deal with them? And well, the Most High put him in a whale to isolate him, to get him right. So whenever you're alone, it's because you're being isolated to get into the right space, the right place, the right headspace. So in September 18th, we're on the book of Nahum. Trusting God is not faith without evidence. It is commitment without reservation. So when we trust in righteousness, that's what God is. We trust in compassion. When somebody comes to attack us, guess what? We trust in compassion and kindness and long suffering. We trust in forgiveness. We trust in righteousness and kindness and mercy and love. This is what we trust. This is what God is. So if you don't want to call that, you believe in all the attributes of what that is. And that's okay too. So trusting righteousness is not faith without evidence. Trusting righteousness is commitment without reservation. So you're committing to the relationship with the Most High without reservation. I'm not reserved about this. I'm not, it's like you're getting into a relationship with a person. You're like, I don't know if I want this again. Was a mistake. This is not that. When you are trusting in God, your commitment to that is without reservation. You're not going to be like, oh, I got to go in somebody's church. I got to do this. No, you're not. You're committed to it. You get up, you go to Sunday service, you go to Wednesday Bible study. You keep yourself in righteousness, because I'm telling you, there is evil out there. They come in the form of a woman. They can come in the form of a man. They can come in the form of anything that's distracting you from your relationship with God. Nothing or no one can separate you from the love of God. So why let it happen? So in the book of Nahum, the Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. So what does that mean? Let's translate. Righteousness is good. Compassion is good. Honesty is good. Love is good. Forgiveness is good. Long suffering is good. All of that is a safety for you when there's a time of trouble, because all of that cares for ones that trust in all of that. When you trust in compassion, you trust in faith, you trust in righteousness, in love, in mercy, in long suffering. When you trust in these things, guess what? That's your safe space in times of trouble. That's going to be your safe space. So err on that side. Kind of be married to that so that your marriages will be successful. Stand in love. Don't fall in love, because when you stand for something, you won't fall for anything. Okay? That's our psalm today, y'all. Let's peek in at Max Lucado and see what he's got to say on the 18th of September. The courage to wonder. So he's looking at Psalm number 1, verse 2 to 3. Love righteous teachings, and righteous teachings. Think about righteous teachings day and night. Righteous teachings are strong as a tree planted by a river. So what does that mean? Psalm 1, verse 2 to 3. That righteous teachings is what you need to seek for. You need to err on the side of kindness. You need to study the teachings of righteousness day and night. Okay? And what does that mean? That means that you are going to pick up a book and read about something righteous, something good. You're going to look at a movie that's about a love story. You're going to look at a movie about somebody overcoming, their own selves. Because the enemy, we are our greatest enemy. We tell ourselves stuff that's not good, and then we wonder why we attract that's not good, because we're telling ourselves these things. So when you tell yourself you are worthy, you're going to get somebody who's worthy. I need to do that. Okay. So Max Lucado's commentary, he says, all of us, Father, and I add the Blessed Mother, at one time or another have wondered when you really are who you say you are. We've looked at the results and circumstances of our lives and wondered why these things happen. We have the courage to wonder. When we read page after page in the Bible, sharing the agony of those who sought righteousness, and we find great encouragement from those who found righteousness. So I want to be that encouragement. I found it. I found the secret of sustaining longevity with your mental health. Okay? That intellectual slice of the pies, that mental section. Okay? When we look at ourselves and the courage that we have to be committed to righteousness and make a commitment today to do that. Tell the person you're with that I am going to stand in love with you. Tell the person you're with, I do not fall in love. I stand in love. And that way I can see the forest from the trees. But when I fall, I'm down, I'm not able to see, and I'm allowing this other person to do whatever they want to do, and I don't stand for anything else. There's no so when they do something wrong, I'm not going to stand up for that with anything righteous, because I'm falling for them. I'm falling down so they can do no wrong. Right? We don't want that. We want to be able to love each other as God loves us. Does that make sense? And what is God? God is that righteousness, that mercy, and that love. We are at an hour here chanting the psalm, y'all. We're going to end right now. And I want to say thank you to everyone for the likes. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for sticking in with me through this hour-long video. Thank you for erring on the side of kindness. Remember, stand in love so you won't fall for anything. Stand in love. Have a blessed day, everyone, and remember, chant a psalm a day, and we're going to loose our sackcloth and we're going to dance. We're going to dance. Have a blessed day, everyone.